okay, so now after all this, at what point did you decide I'm going to start my brand, my company, my whole?
That year, so 2018, because I was 20. Yeah, I graduated 2017. So like 2018, 2019, I decided to bank on myself
Right.
and actually start HolyToledo Photo and
Right.
take it seriously. And it's a lot to do with wanting to work for myself and not having to, succumb to a certain like brand or a certain eye. Like if you like my art or if you like the way I photograph, then hire me.
Yeah,
type
yeah.
of thing, yeah.
And how did you start getting like, okay, so you start like doing like high school gigs? Like how did you put your name into the sports field? Like you were like, oh, I'm doing these high school gigs. I'm going to, college.
I actually started not traditionally. I started doing Tobias Harris's runs in Long Island. So with that, meeting a lot of players and meeting a lot of trainers and stuff, with making relationships, networking, I was able to, meet people and establish like pretty amazing relationships. And I still speak and photograph those people today. So
Yeah. We've seen. I mean, I've seen Carmelo, JJ, a bunch of people.
Yeah.
That's and I think that there's an art to that too, because you're catching a lot of these people in private settings, and I think you got to catch like, from what I gather from what I've seen from it is like you got to capture their moments of like while they're working, right?
Yeah.
And you catch the intensity that these guys, like a lot of these people think that there's a lot of people in the outside world that think like, oh, these people are just like, they don't work as hard because they've already made it.
Yeah.
And I think you're at a point where you get to see these people work and see like the intensity and maybe they have a lot of the portion, a huge portion of the day off because once they train 2 or 3 hours, life is normal for them, right? Like just like you and me. It's like, but we go to work and we're working several hours, right? But these people put a lot of intensity and energy into 2 or 3 hours to be to be the kind of players that they are. And that's just basketball. We're not even talking about the physical stuff, right? Like the physical training and all that. But I feel like when I've gone through your photos, you have to capture that moment of like intensity where they're tired. You catch their moments where they're going up through the ups and downs. And I think that's what you were talking about, like, learning how to capture people's moments.
Like who they are.
Yeah, who they are. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think a lot of what goes on is people tend to forget that they're humans.
Yeah.
And they are actual
true.
human beings who go through life. And most athletes that I have photographed do 2 a days. It's not just one.
Exactly.
And most of the time they don't like having people in the gym to photograph or to document what they're doing. But sometimes society pushes us to try to think that we have to prove that, okay, no, I am working hard. So
I got to show people.
Yeah, so being able to do that in an authentic way and the most genuine way possible is what I always thrive to do, because it's more about them than it is about me.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of people tend to forget it's not just about that athlete in front of my camera. It's who they are as a person and what they go through.
Yeah, I actually had a professor once we had a debate years ago in a course, and she was like, "Oh, do you I think she had posed the question like, do you think that these athletes are overpaid, blah blah blah, for what they do?" And then I was like, it's entertainment. People spend a lot of money to watch these people play, right? And that's why they criticize them so much, because that's why they want to know, hey, I'm paying all this hard-earned money to go watch you play. I want to know that you're getting your work in. You know what I mean? I want to know.
Nobody asked you to.
Yeah, exactly. But people do it, and that's entitlement, right? People they have that entitlement to say whatever that they want or however they feel. But the reality is that these people put in just as much work as anyone else, and their lives are just as hectic.
And even more work, in my opinion.
And on top of that, just like they don't live normal lives anymore. Yeah. Like once you make it, everything is like, you just going to go get a cup of coffee is difficult. It's
tiring.
Yeah. All the people, oh my God. Like, it's that's why I've never been that kind of person. Like if I see someone, I just leave them alone. Yeah. I'm just kind of like, let them, but I'm not going to be the 500th person that sees them today and then they're upset with me. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of like, let them be. And more people.
It doesn't hurt to ask. Like, that's the thing.
Exactly,
Like, it doesn't hurt to ask. And you have to be able to accept no. Like, that's another.
Is that would you say you like capturing those private workout settings over like real game settings? You think that's
I don't think either goes higher than the other, because I put more than my all into both situations. But it is easier for me to photograph a game than it is for me to photograph in a personal workout, because like I said, I try to make sure the whole thing is comfortable, not being in the way, and making sure I capture what I capture. So I think a lot more in that aspect. It's a lot harder work for me. But yeah, I don't think I like one more than the other.
I mean, how many shots go into one workout? Like 100?
So I'm different as well. I kind of programmed myself to not shoot as much because I like everything perfect in camera. I'm not much of a, which is kind of ironic because I freelance as an editor for Getty, but I don't like to edit my own photos.
Right.
That's weird to say. But yeah, so for me, let's say it's an hour workout, like 75 images maybe. Like for a game, people shoot like over 1,000 images. I leave a game with like 500, maybe the most 800.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of pictures. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many are kept?
Well, I keep everything.
Right. Well, I can imagine how many are sent to the actual. Like, if you do a private workout with a person, how many are you actually sending them?
Less than half.
Yeah.
Because also you don't want an athlete. Actually, some love seeing every single image that you take, so it's getting to know that athlete as well, getting to know that person.
Yeah.
But some people just like honestly just want like 10 to 15 max of like your best ones, and so they could post or whatever.
They're going on the gram anyways.
Yeah.
And you can't. I think you can't post more than 10 unless you do like a separate post, like in one post.
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, I feel like for them to sit there and just like keep swiping, like, oh yeah, that's good, and then to have a hard decision, like I'll make that decision for you.
Oh, so you're picking the 10, 15 that they're getting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the time. And if they ask for more, I'm like, okay, you can have the rest. But most of the time, they don't.
Yeah. Because I would feel like they want to know what they're paying. I want to see how many pictures you took total. Like, send me all that whole catalog.
Yeah.
I'm cheap, so I would ask that. I'd be like, I want the whole catalog, even if I'll just have it there. Maybe one day I'll use a few of those other ones that I didn't use already. Or you have some there stored up. Like, hey, I have some.
Yeah,
some
I
extras.
also do black and white. So like most I send is like 25 because I'll do different things.
Right.
I like take it into an artistic level as well.
Yeah, and so while this is all going on, you got to be like laser focused because you want to capture every dribble, every shot, every emotion, facial expression. All those things, background, I guess that plays a role, right?
Yeah.
And how you shoot it. Are you like walking around like the court while that's going on? Or are you in one spot? Like you just.
So if you've ever been in a gym with me, I talk to myself.
Okay.
So you can find me like, just like looking around, just like, oh, that doesn't work. Or I'm just like,
yeah.
All right. But most of the time, especially if I've been in that gym for a while, I challenge myself. So I put myself in positions that I never would, different angles of the court that I never would, just to see like how that works. But if it's a new gym, I'm standing there and I'm trying to figure out how that light hits somebody, how close I'll be if I get hit or something, or like if a basketball tries to come my way. And tournaments and games are very difficult as well because you have a lot of people. I squat when I take pictures, so I don't really bother that many people because everybody could just stand behind me. But yeah, I'll just stand there and I'm just like, okay, that light doesn't work. I'll move this way or I'll move that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I can imagine. I would if it were me, I would 100% prefer the private settings. It's because I feel like you have more like space to work. No, it's not as bothersome.
But I like a challenge.
I think an advantage is too is like when you watch like guys like you were saying like Tobias and Tyler Herro and stuff like that. Like when you take pictures of these guys in games, you kind of also know like what they're already working on. So you kind of like, oh, I know this move is coming. This is this is his move. This is his spot. I got to get him here. Like, right? Like I feel like that's an advantage, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's also watching the games, even if it's not just photographing their trainings, but actually watching basketball and actually playing it and understanding it, seeing it from babies to grassroots to professional. So yeah,
I think that's look, your job is amazing. Like you just get to sit there and photograph people and watch them play. Like that's awesome. Yeah. Like I find it hard to imagine that you really find what you do is work.
No.
Right. Like it's like more
the
fun.
Editing part maybe a little bit, but
yeah, that's everyone's like super even like the people that do like video and stuff, like all they talk about is how much they dislike editing.
Yeah, because you have to sit there, but like doing the actual thing is pretty awesome.
Such a tedious.
Yeah.
Right. And I would think that editing pictures is maybe easier. Like, right?
Well, I'm a perfectionist, so if something just doesn't, I'll sit there and just yell at my computer. So.
Yeah, like get it right, computer. What are you doing? So okay, and now What's the future for your company, for your brand? Well, we know what we didn't talk about, like how you got into the name. Like how did the Holy get in there?
HolyToledo. Well, Toledo's my last name.
Right, I know that.
In high school, my math teacher asked me, because I was always the first person at school and the last person to leave, because my mom would drop us off really early and I was the first one on the stop, and I had basketball or some sort of practice and I'd be the last person to be picked up. And I was like, I play sports. And he was like, but every single day I see you here. And I was like, I played 3 sports.
Yeah.
And he goes, HolyToledo.
Oh, okay.
And then I was like, that's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah. That sounds like a good company name.
Yeah. So, yeah, as soon as I wanted to, I wanted to be different. I am different. So I decided to plug that into, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's so you got like all kind of people from your school to thank for so many things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You can say
it seems like you had a good experience in your high school. Maybe I should have gone there.
For the people, for sure.